which of those do you want to start with?
I think first let's kind of like delve into the whole Zeke and like biowarfare type thing.
Mm,
So pre-OP, and they touch upon it later, Zeke basically tells them, "Oh, once I or re-released gas in the town where Connie's mom lived, and then once I use my voice, I can convert them to Titans. But just the serum alone will leave them incapacitated." Which we find out later is a lie. And we kind of predict this a couple episodes ago with Nicolo and his wine, but it turns out you don't have any kind of reaction to that. You can just drink it and not know that you have Zeke's spinal fluid just chilling inside of you, which is a huge big brain play now. And I really like how Attack on Titan does that. Like the information you get from certain characters is not always reliable. You can't trust these different narrators, which is good.
yeah,
That makes sense.
and it's something that can get played really poorly in anime as well. It feels like it often can feel like a really obvious plot device that's just being used to create a subverted expectation, whereas in Attack on
Yeah.
Titan it gets done with a lot more finesse. Um, yeah, Zeke is really like he sent those bottles of wine over 3 years ago, or a bit more than 3 years ago. This is on the first scout ship that those bottles of wine have come over. Um, so this is some serious, and I mean we know Zeke's been playing 4D chess for a while, but this is Zeke was not leaving anything to chance.
I know, yeah. And it's insane because this is such a big trump card. Like, we see the effects of what happened when they did the similar plan on some random capital, which they took over in one day. And now they're using the same strategy with Paradise. And it seems like there's no counter to it. Like, once you drink the spinal fluid, it's just left up to Zeke to yell, and that's it. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things with the mechanics that I find very interesting with this. And there's two things. One, um, do the there's a couple of things really that I'm now thinking about. One is, do you have to be in the proximity of Zeke to be able to hear him yell?
Hmm.
And the reason I'm asking that is because my strong feeling is that the idea around inseminating or whatever you like, that's probably a really wrong word, but like the idea around like the military police being given this is a way to subvert most people's thinking around who's actually the intended target for the wine. And I think the intended target for the wine is the scouts that are with Levi in the forest. um so I'm sure I've seen them drinking something at some point. I'm sure they've had wine there. Maybe I haven't seen it, but I'm sure that they are going to have taken some of the wine. Um, and then, and so if that's the case, Zeke is going to use his yell to turn them into Titans at some point. Levi will not have drank the wine. But at that same point in time, miles and miles and miles away, does Falco then also turn into a Titan if he's ingested some of the wine, or does he have to hear? So are we essentially going to have a situation where Falco is going to be like some random place and he's going to get turned into a mindless Titan without realizing, without Zeke even knowing that Falco has taken in the taken in the fluid. So I think there's a couple of things there. So I wonder what that looks like, because the thing is, it's not really happening through his voice, right? It's happening through like a mechanism that is connecting him through his royal blood to paths, through paths to the coordinate. So
Yeah.
why, if any subject of Ymir has his fluid in him, I don't think that they would need to be within the radius of hearing his voice. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the voice does play some effect. Because if it was just like paths, right? Like, would he even need to yell? Like, couldn't he just like do something else and be able to do it like remotely? I don't know. I feel like to kind of like limit how OP Zeke is, I think they're these limits, like maybe you need to hear him yell, or you need to be within like some kind of distance within Zeke.
But if
Um,
he's connecting to the coordinate, like essentially what I think they're trying to set him up as is like a faux founding titan with royal blood. Because
yeah,
if he's connecting to the coordinate from paths by the yell, is the yell like so? There's two theories here, right? The yell is heard by the people who have his spinal fluid, and that's the mechanism which turns him into a titan somehow through paths, or the yell is the mechanism that connects him to paths, which then goes around to everyone and then turns everyone with his spinal fluid into the titan. So for some reason, it's just the mechanism to connect to paths, which is a yell for him because he's not the founding titan. The founding
yeah,
titan can probably do it on will without spinal fluid, but for him as a titan shifter with royal blood but not having the founding titan, he can also do a similar thing and control titans that he's given his spinal fluid. Yeah, I don't know. What do
yeah.
you think that
I,
they need to be able to hear him?
it's I don't even think like the founding like Titan can do it without royal blood. I think royal blood's the main thing. But yeah, I think it's the
Oh,
first theory you suggested. I think it's probably like the yell is connecting them to him versus connecting him to paths. But also like the other
oh,
thing that I kind of or you already mentioned was the wine was specifically for military police higher ups, right? Meaning like the scouts wouldn't necessarily have had it, but that doesn't really make sense either, right? From Zeke's game plan, right? They should be giving it to everyone: scouts, military police, brigade. So the fact that it's just military police and not the scouts, that's a bit curious.
I think I don't. Yeah, I definitely think the scouts in the forest have drank that wine. There's three
I
people
think the
delivering
scouts,
supplies, and
yeah,
they're
I think the
definitely
scouts in the
taking some of that wine.
forest, yeah, I think the scouts in the forest have. But what Niccolo was saying was only military police higher ups, and like Flock kind of reconfirm that, like, oh, are you worried about the MPs becoming bigger idiots? Not scouts, not
Mm,
brigades, the
mm,
military police.
yeah.
So
So I
maybe like
think
since yeah, maybe since there's like volunteers or something in the scouts or like Jaegerists, they didn't want to risk that. Um, but again,
yeah.
that's like kind of dicey.
I think I think that they definitely made a point of the MPs to subvert and make everyone think that no scouts had it, so that we'll be really surprised when Zeke yells and all of the other scouts with Levi turn into Titans. Like I
Okay.
think that's going to be like a. I think they've built this reveal up, um, which is just what like I just obviously from the trailer, like it was pretty obvious there was
Yeah.
Titans in the forest. So I don't know, like that's where I'm pairing it from. Um, I I think that it also makes sense from Zeke's perspective to only give it to people like the military police because they're probably the ones that are going to be most hostile and also the ones closest to the government. So if you want to inflict maximum maximum damage to the hierarchy of the society whilst inflicting minimum damage to the actual people, I think that's who you're giving the wine to as
Yeah,
Zeke.
that actually that makes sense because, shown they're anti-military police because they wanted Aaron to get eaten anyway. So they killed Zachary. Yeah, targeting the MP. No one likes the MP, right? So it
No.
makes sense. They were the most against Zeke.
So
So damn, yeah, Zeke has had this plan for a while, man.
yeah, he's been working on it for a long, 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 long time. And the funny thing is, I guess he did need Aaron, didn't he?
Yeah,
He did
or he
need
needs
Aaron.
it for the ultimate goal.